Hi, you got Jason McCoy here with Sprecher Schuh, your industrial motor control consultants. And today we want to help you with your electrical circuit. More specifically, give you the differences between a Sprecher Schuh two-component E-combo starter and a three-component E-combo starter. And so that you better understand what the term E-combo means, it is a self-protected type E combination starter or controller in that, this device, this KTA device possesses a magnetic armature that accomplishes what a branch circuit protection device would. It gives you the SCCR like a circuit breaker would, as well as this device has a rotary knob for disconnecting means. This device has 3 open power poles to cover the controller necessity means of that circuit, as well as this device has an integrated overload relay to cover the overcurrent of what any CUL should have in a circuit. So all in all, it accomplishes everything what a combination starter does, manually albeit, because it has a rotary knob. So what we do is we provide the CA7 contactor on the bottom of it. It has a coil on the inside. It allows you to send a signal electrically so you can operate this thing from a remote location. So that's what a two-component starter does for you. Now, well, when in the circumstance would you utilize a three-component starter? Well, I'm going to give you 3 application examples today. In that first example, if in the circumstance we had multi-starters and multi 2 or 3 lined up starters, and there was a need for a dedicated reset. Well, in a multi-starter scenario with a 2-component, I'm not able to give dedicated resets in the circumstance that, hey, if I need a dedicated reset in a 3-component starter, what we're doing is that we're taking the overload out of the controller and making the controller a magnetic only, as in a KTB device. And what we're doing is we're adding an actual overload relay down below the contactors. So we're accomplishing everything that the circuit requires still, but we're doing it with 3 components. So that was the first example of giving a dedicated reset button. Second application example in that, what if I needed some added protection means or something, and that Sprecher Schuh offers a ground fault device, ground fault jam device kind of a selection that protects for those circuits and those needs, as well as we have an added module, ground fault, or we could have a remote reset module that allows you to reset with a push button and a normally open contact. So if you wanted to have an added module protection, yeah, you would make this a magnetic device, have your full featured overload where you can plug into it with a ribbon cable, and now you've got your added protection. Well, that's 2 circumstances. Another example of why you would go to a 3-component setup, well, what if your startup time of your motor didn't have enough time from a regular class 10 overload and a trip class 10? That's what's integrated in this device, trip class 10. What if your load needed a longer startup time, it needed more, had more inertia, and needed a longer startup time? Well, make this a magnetic device, add your overload. This overload gives you the potential for class 15, class 20, class 30 kinds of trip class selections. That would be your third example. So that's the means of today, is to distinguish between a 2-component E-combo or a 3-component, as opposed to what we had been traditionally doing in a circuit of a traditional branch circuit protection device feeding a contactor, feeding an overload scenario, less devices, modular, multi-starter. So those are the advantages. So I hope you got something out of the information today. Sprecher Schuh wants to help and be your industrial motor control consultant. So please contact us through our sales channels or on the website.